I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Amanda, for about 5 years now. We seemed like a good match. She's smart, sexy, and usually pretty honest, at least on the surface. We had our arguments like everyone does, but I thought we were solid. Until last month during our anniversary trip. That trip was supposed to be special. We booked a fancy weekend getaway to celebrate 5 years together. We'd been planning it for months, saving up, talking about how much we needed this escape from our busy lives. But things started feeling off from the moment we arrived. Amanda was acting distant sometimes, distracted even, and she kept canceling plans with friends right before the trip, which was weird. I didn't push her, figured maybe she was stressed at work or just tired. Then there were the little things. She started wearing more makeup, which she rarely did unless we were going out to dinner or something. She was secretive about her phone, always keeping it close, texting under the table and deleting messages right after. I caught her doing it a few times, but she'd brush it off, say I was being paranoid or jealous. It was annoying, but I wanted to believe she was just stressed or trying to look good for the trip. The night we got back from a fancy dinner, I decided to check her phone. I know I shouldn't have, but I was just curious. Something felt off. I saw a message from someone named Chris, and it was provocative, flirty even. It said something about meeting up later, and I swear, her reply was playful but also kind of slutty, like she was teasing him. I took a screenshot and felt my stomach drop. I knew then that I was looking at something serious. I didn't confront her right away. I needed to think to gather my nerve. Over the next few days, the evidence piled up. I found hidden receipts of hotel bookings in her email, suspiciously vague explanations about work trips she never mentioned. She started acting more bitchy, snapping at me over small things, lying about where she'd been. I wasn't stupid, she was hiding something. I just didn't know how deep it went until I caught her. One afternoon, I came home early from work and decided to check her suitcase. I found her lingerie hidden at the bottom, nothing too scandalous but enough to tell me she'd been cheating. Then I saw his name pop up again on her phone, Chris, more than a dozen times. She lied every time I asked her about it, told me she was just talking to a coworker or a friend from college. That night, I finally exploded. I confronted her with everything I had. She looked me in the eye and told me I was crazy, that I was overthinking, that she loved me and this was all a mistake, she'd stop. But I knew better. I could see the guilt all over her face, and I knew she'd been sleeping with her boss, David. The way she lied, the way she tried to brush me off, it was all so transparent. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My whole world was crashing down. I never imagined she'd do something like this, especially not during what should have been a happy milestone. I was furious, betrayed, hurt, and honestly just numb. I didn't know what to do next, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let her get away with it that easily. After that confrontation, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her lying there, her face twisted with guilt and denial. I kept replaying all the signs I'd missed, all the moments when she'd been different, more distant, more secretive, and now it all made sense. She'd been cheating on me with her boss, David, probably for months. The thought of her sleeping with him in some hotel or his office made my stomach turn. How could she do this during our anniversary trip? That supposed special weekend I'd been looking forward to. The worst part was her attitude afterward. She acted like she hadn't done anything wrong, like I was imagining things or just being insecure. When I brought it up again, she rolled her eyes and snapped, "You're crazy, Mike. You're overreacting. I don't know why you're making a big deal out of some innocent flirtation." Innocent. Yeah, right. I could see her trying to gaslight me, make me doubt myself, but I wasn't falling for it. I knew what I saw, what I felt, and what I felt was betrayal, plain and simple. I decided I had to do something. I couldn't just sit around and pretend everything was fine. I started plotting, trying to figure out how to catch her in the act if she was still seeing him. I installed a hidden app on her phone, nothing malicious, just enough to see if she was still texting him or meeting up. I also started paying attention to her movements, her schedule. I even looked up her bank statements. Surprisingly, she'd been making small cash withdrawals, probably from their secret meetings. That was the final straw. I needed to confront her again, but this time with proof. One Saturday, I came home earlier than usual, pretending I was just being spontaneous. I knew she'd be up to something. Sure enough, I found her in the bedroom, getting dressed, her phone in hand. She looked surprised, defensive even. I confronted her right then and there, showing her the screenshots, the receipts, everything I'd gathered. Her face twisted into fury. She tried to deny it, call me crazy, say I was paranoid. Then she spat out, "It's not what you think. He's just a friend with benefits, okay? It's not serious, and it's not like I slept with him every night." That was. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Just a friend with benefits. That's what she called it. I felt a rage boiling inside me. How could she be so callous, so indifferent to the pain she was causing me? The fact that she was lying so easily, trying to brush off what I knew was the truth, made everything worse. I realized then that her attitude was the real problem. She had no remorse, no regret. Just that bitchy, dismissive attitude, like I was the crazy one. I was hurt in ways I hadn't expected. I'd always thought we had something real, something worth fighting for. But now I wasn't sure if I could ever trust her again. The betrayal was too fresh, too deep. I kept asking myself how she could look me in the eye and lie so effortlessly. How she could turn our anniversary into some meaningless fling with her boss. I didn't sleep that night, kept staring at the ceiling, trying to process it all. I knew one thing: I had to decide what I was going to do next. Because this wasn't just a bump in the road. It was an earthquake, and it had shaken everything I believed in. The days that followed were a blur. I couldn't focus on work, on anything really. All I could do was replay the moments, her lies, her dismissiveness, the sneaky texts, over and over in my head. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it coming, how I missed the signs. Or maybe I saw them but didn't want to believe. That's what hurts most, feeling like I was blindsided by someone I trusted completely. I decided I needed to get some distance. Not just from her, but from the situation. I moved out of the bedroom, slept on the couch, and started planning my next steps. I needed clarity, and I knew I couldn't do that with her around. During that time, she kept throwing her tantrums, acting bitchy and defensive, accusing me of overreacting, being paranoid, and even calling me insecure. She said I was ruining everything, that I was making a mountain out of a molehill. But I knew better. I knew the truth. And I wasn't about to let her gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. One night, she showed up at my apartment, furious, yelling about how I was overreacting, how she deserved a little freedom and that I was just jealous. She said, "You're not enough for me, Mike. I needed something more and I found it. That doesn't mean I don't love you, but honestly, I don't even know if I want this marriage anymore." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. It was the first time she admitted she wasn't fully committed. That realization made everything so much worse. I'd been naive, thinking maybe we could fix this, but now it seemed like she was already checked out. I told her to leave, that I needed space to think. She stormed out, but not before giving me that fake, bitchy smile, like she thought she could manipulate her way back into my good graces. Problem was, I wasn't sure if I wanted her to. My mind kept racing. Should I forgive her? Should I try to work it out? Or was this the end? Every time I thought about it, I felt like I was on the edge of an emotional breakdown. The betrayal was one thing, but her attitude, so dismissive, so unapologetic, made it impossible to even consider reconciliation right now. In the following days, I started talking to friends, trying to get some perspective. Most of them told me to cut her loose, to focus on myself, that someone who cheats and acts like she doesn't care isn't worth my energy. That advice stung, but deep down I knew they were right. I couldn't keep living in this limbo, wondering if she'd change or if she'd cheat again. I needed to make a decision. One thing that kept playing in my mind was how she kept lying. Even after I'd caught her, even after I showed her my evidence, she'd deny everything, act like I was nuts. That kind of attitude, so bitchy, so dismissive, made it clear she didn't respect me or our relationship anymore. It was like she thought she was entitled to do whatever she wanted, and I should just accept it. That's when I realized I had to prioritize myself. I couldn't keep enabling her, trying to fix something that was clearly broken beyond repair. I needed a plan for what to do next, and honestly, I was leaning toward ending it all. I didn't want to be someone's fool, especially not for a woman who had no respect for me or for what we had. The decision to end things wasn't easy, but it became clearer every day that staying was only going to hurt me more. I started making arrangements, looking into lawyers, figuring out the logistics of a breakup. I knew I couldn't just walk away without considering everything, especially since we had some shared assets and a dog. But honestly, the biggest challenge wasn't the legal stuff. It was the emotional weight. I kept waking up at night, thinking about her, the betrayal, the plans we had made, and how she had so easily thrown it all away. One evening, I decided I needed to confront her one last time. Not to change her mind, but just to get it all out. I called her and told her I wanted to meet. She came over, looking smug at first, like she thought she still had control. But when I laid out everything, the receipts, screenshots, everything I'd found, her face started to twist with anger. She yelled, called me crazy, said I was stalking her, that I was obsessed. But I wasn't backing down. I told her I knew the truth about her sleeping with David and I couldn't trust her anymore. Her reaction was classic Amanda, defensive, bitchy, full of lies. She said she never slept with David, that it was all a misunderstanding, that he was just a business acquaintance she was helping out. She called me paranoid, insecure, and said I was pushing her away. That was her go-to: blame me, call me crazy, act like I was the one doing wrong. It made me so mad I could hardly see straight. I wanted to shake her and tell her how much she'd hurt me, but I just sat there, listening to her bullshit. That night I realized something. She didn't see what she did as wrong. To her, her actions were just some flirtation, some harmless fun. She didn't seem to care that she'd shattered my trust or that she'd lied to me for months. The way she was acting, so bitchy, dismissive, and full of excuses, made me see how little she valued this relationship. It was like I was nothing to her, just some guy who put up with her bullshit. I felt a deep sadness I hadn't expected. I loved her, or at least I thought I did, but now I knew I had to let go. Holding on to her was more painful than anything. I started thinking about all the good times, all the moments I'd thought we shared, and how those memories were now tainted by her lies. Honestly, part of me was furious she could be so selfish and careless. But mostly I was just exhausted from trying to fix something that was already broken. I knew deep down that I had to walk away, even if it crushed me inside. No one deserves to be lied to and betrayed like that, especially not by someone they loved. The days after that final confrontation were the hardest. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, trying to piece together my life without her. Every place I went, every song I heard reminded me of what I'd lost. I kept asking myself how I let it get this far, how I didn't see the signs, how I was so blind to her bitchy attitude and her constant lies. The truth was, I had loved her too much, and that made me ignore what was really happening. Now I was paying the price. I made a firm decision. I was done. I couldn't keep pretending that this relationship was salvageable. Her betrayal cut too deep. I started canceling plans, returning her things, and packing up the stuff I'd been too trusting to notice was hiding her secrets. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming my life. I knew it was going to hurt for a long time, but I couldn't keep living in this chaos of lies and betrayal. One night, I sat alone in my apartment thinking about everything: her, the affair, the betrayal. I realized how much I'd sacrificed, how much I'd ignored because I thought love meant forgiving. Love, I've learned, isn't about turning a blind eye to the bullshit. It's about respect, honesty, and trust, and she had shattered all of that. I felt a strange mixture of relief and heartbreak. Relief because I no longer had to pretend she was innocent, and heartbreak because I'd loved her deeply, even when I should have seen the warning signs. I've come to understand that some betrayals run too deep, and trust isn't something you can rebuild overnight. Maybe someday I'll be able to look back and forgive her, not for her sake, but for mine. But right now, I just need to focus on healing. I started going out more, reconnecting with friends, even joining a gym to clear my head. It's a slow process, and some days are worse than others, but I know I have to move forward. The biggest lesson I've learned is that people show you who they really are in moments like this. Amanda's true colors came out: her bitchy attitude, her lies, her dismissiveness. I can't make someone change or be honest if they don't want to. So I've realized that I deserve better. I deserve someone who respects me, who values honesty, and who doesn't cheat or lie. That's what I'm holding on to now, hope for something better, even if it's hard to see right now. It hurts, but I know I'll come out stronger on the other side. Looking back, I can honestly say that this experience changed me in ways I wasn't prepared for. I thought I knew what love was: trust, loyalty, respect. But now I see how fragile all of that really is. Amanda's betrayal cut deep, and even though I've moved out and cut ties, I still feel the sting of it every now and then. The thing is, I've also learned a lot about myself through all this. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive heartbreak and come out the other side, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. I realize now that trust isn't something you can take for granted. It's earned every day through honesty and respect. Once that's broken, it's incredibly hard to rebuild, if it's even possible at all. But what I also learned is that sometimes walking away is the best thing you can do for yourself. Staying and trying to fix what's broken when the other person shows no remorse or willingness to change only prolongs the pain. So I've started focusing on me. I've gone back to work, reconnected with friends, and slowly I'm trying to rebuild my confidence. It's not easy, and there are days I still feel angry and betrayed, but I keep reminding myself that I deserve someone who values me, who respects me enough not to cheat and lie. I don't regret loving her. I regret trusting her blindly. Now, I'm just taking it one day at a time, learning to let go of the past and look forward to a future where I don't have to second-guess someone's loyalty. This whole ordeal has taught me that the most important thing in a relationship is honesty. Without it, everything falls apart. If you're in a similar situation, my advice is to listen to your gut. If something feels off, don't ignore it. Trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and a lifetime to repair. But sometimes the best choice is to walk away, even if it hurts like hell. Because in the end, no one should have to live with the pain of betrayal. I guess what I'm saying is that I'm finally starting to heal, even if it's slow. And even though it hurts now, I know I'll get through this. One day, I'll look back and realize that losing her was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it forced me to wake up and realize what I truly deserve.